We all love a legendary comeback, and Degree Original Cool Rush is back and better than ever. Cool Rush isn't just a scent, it's a movement, a fan favorite that delivers bold, fresh vibes and all-day sweat protection. Whether you have a man that spends hours in the gym, heads into the office early, or is just trying to stay fresh on a long day, Cool Rush has their back. Head to your local Walmart or Target and grab Degree Cool Rush, the fan favorite scent from the world's #1 antiperspirant brand.
REI Co-op presents a perfect outdoor moment with the perfect gift. Picture this. You're ripping with your favorite person. Bluebird skies, blower powder, and frankly, you're skiing like legends.
So sick. Another lap?
Thanks to REI's curation, from lid to sticks, you nailed the gift.
No way. How'd you know?
Does it get more perfect than that? Give without guessing. Shop in store or visit rei.com.
For busy parents, coffee is our fuel. Now, if only we could have it on drip. Literally. Thank goodness for James Coffee Company, a specialty coffee roaster based in San Diego, California. Have you ever had a bad aftertaste in your mouth from drinking coffee? That comes from drinking low-quality coffee. Specialty coffee, like James, has a pleasant taste on the palate and only gets better when it cools down, which is when I usually get the chance to drink it. Sourcing the highest quality green coffee beans roasted to their greatest flavor potential, James roasts coffee daily, so it's fresh when it arrives on your doorstep, unlike buying from a grocery store where coffee may sit on the shelves for months. James supports small farmers and co-ops, and with your order, you support a small business with ethical and sustainable practices that pay their producers above fair market price. All of their coffee bags are 100% recyclable. And fun fact, in James Company coffee shops, the brand has eliminated all single-use cups and has switched to serving drinks in glass jars. Use my code MOMSENSE50 for 50% off your first subscription order and receive 20% off every order after that. It's MOMSENSE50. Just visit jamescoffeeco.com/subscriptions. Again, jamescoffeeco.com/subscriptions. So the next time you're waking up to make your cup of joe, let it be James.
I think another big lesson my mom taught me was to not complain. And I'm not being like toxically positive here, just not the complaining about things like, me saying I'm tired. Like, it doesn't mean a bed is gonna appear. Like, if you're tired,
yes, you're right.
Figure it out. And it made it so positive. Like, if there was a problem, it was like, okay, we got to solve it. What are we going to do, team? Let's be proactive. Let's get in front of this. And quite frankly, it was just really nice to be in an environment like that. And again, it wasn't like this sunshine family. Of course there were issues, and of course there were things that conflict and things that we talked about, but I just felt that, following that role model of not just whining and complaining about things really served me well. And, as a result, I always say this parenting gig, it's all about the role modeling. Like, we can talk to them, we're blue in the face what we want our kids to do and we want them to be like and what our expectations are, but it is a role modeling gig. So, you know what? You don't want whiny kids? Don't whine.
As moms, we often wonder, am I doing enough for my kids? I'm here to tell you, you are super mama. That's because we have an undeniable superpower, our intuition, and it never steers us wrong. I call it our mom sense. Hi, I'm Kanika Chadda Gupta, and I'm the host of That's Total Mom Sense. I'm a journalist, entrepreneur, wife, and mom of 3, twins plus 1. Now, if I had $1 every time I heard, gee, you have your hands full. On my podcast, I interview influential moms from various industries and cover topics that all first-time parents grapple with, from getting your baby to sleep to screen time allowance, your new normal in your marriage, and how to dedicate time to yourself. Learn and laugh along with That's Total Mom Sense.
Back to school season is upon us, and whether your children are doing a hybrid model or going in person, The best part about it, in my opinion, is the shopping and getting organized. Today, I have the founder of Mabel's Labels, Julie Cole, on the show. I know I can already hear the moms fanning out about Julie. She is a recovered lawyer, mom of 6, and co-founder of Mabel's Labels. She has helped her company bring their product to a worldwide market, gain media recognition, and win countless awards. Cole is a passionate entrepreneur, published author, and sought-after speaker. Julie is no stranger to the media, having appeared on NBC's The Today Show, HLN's Raising America, Breakfast Television, The Marilyn Dennis Show, CP24, among many others. As a blogger and writer, her articles have appeared in the Huffington Post, Today's Parent, The Globe and Mail, Profit Magazine, Working Mother Magazine, Chicken Soup for the Soul, Power Moms, and numerous websites. When she's not juggling her busy family and professional life, Julie is an engaged community member, serving on boards and volunteering. She is passionate about women's issues, mentoring young entrepreneurs, and social justice. Julie, welcome to That's Total Mom Sense.
Oh, thank you so much. It's so great to be here.
Yes, I'm so excited for you to just dive in and tell us the entire backstory, because many of us love and use Mabel's Labels, but for those who don't, you're going to get 411 today. So let's start from the beginning. Tell us about how you grew up.
Well, I grew up, I actually am in Toronto, and I grew up with 3 siblings and my mom and dad, who were both teachers. And that was 50 years ago I was born. I just had my 50th birthday, actually.
Oh my gosh. Happy belated.
Thank you.
Happy for you. What a milestone.
It was, but you know what? It was pretty anticlimactic with us being in lockdown and the COVID. So you know what? Nothing really happened that was too big or special, but that's all right. You know what? We all just celebrate in our own way.
Yeah.
And honestly, let's face it, mostly moms just get ignored on our birthdays. So this is no different.
I know. Yeah. We're just unloading the dishwasher and, you know,
right?
the usual. Yeah.
Yeah. So I grew up here in Canada. I went and did my undergraduate degree. And then I actually ended up at NYU, where I did my master's degree. And then I ended up in law school. And then I ended up marrying an Australian. And we lived in Australia for about 5 years, had 3 kids there, had 3 kids back in Toronto. And it's gotten very easy for me because my youngest is now 12. So all of you people out there with little ones, you know, sometimes you'll hear people like me say things like, "Oh, bigger kids, bigger problems." But I can tell you it's way easier. I promise. It's way easier. Like my tea is still hot when I drink it. I sleep at night. Like my food is warm when I eat it. I don't just eat crusts for lunch. It's quite decadent.
Oh my goodness. I cannot wait for this next phase. It's so encouraging to hear you say that, because you know, every single milestone for a child is challenging. And, you know, for you to have this level of positivity and 6 kids in your brood is incredible. You know, I can only imagine what parenting is like for each personality and, you know, each preference.
Well, that's exactly right. You know, people often say, well, you have 6 kids, you know, probably one parenting style. I'm like, no, there's 6 parenting styles. They're all different. My mother always taught us, you don't treat your kids the same because they're not the same. To be treating them the same would be not treat them equally. Right.
Yeah.
So, you have to respond to their various needs and such. But, you know, I will say too, that when I was heading in the teenager phase, because I think I have about 5 teenagers right now, when I was heading into that phase, I know I was really nervous because I always thought of myself as a baby person. Like I loved my babies, but you know what? Each of these stages lasts 5 minutes. So try to enjoy them all for all of their unique challenges. Like I really did enjoy my babies, and I liked my preschoolers, and I enjoyed the school age, and I'm really enjoying the teenagers. They're really smart and interesting and keep us on our toes and that sort of thing. So that, you know, they're all to be enjoyed.
Yes. I love that mindset of yours. What were some of the lessons that your parents passed on to you?
You know, it's funny. I actually just wrote about one that my dad taught me. And it was one that I kind of forgot about. And then on Father's Day this year, I thought, I just remembered a very interesting story from when I was a little kid. Like I said, my dad was a teacher and he's been gone now for about 10 years. He passed away 10 years ago. I remember once when we were little girls, he had a friend coming over who was a retired teacher, and he was widowed and his children lived far away, or his grandchildren lived far away. And before he came over, my dad said, girls, when you come in to say goodnight to me, give me a kiss and hug goodnight. If you want, and you don't have to, I won't be disappointed. But if you want to give my friend a little hug goodnight, he'd probably love that because he misses his grandkids. And we were like, oh, that's weird. Like he's asking us if we want to, whatever. Anyway, I just really remembered that because to me, that was a really big lesson in consent. And it really taught me and I realized I did carry it through with my kids. It was never, no, you don't have to sit on Santa's knee, or it's never, you don't have to give that uncle a hug. You don't have to,
right.
Because teaching them about their bodies and having body autonomy is such an important lesson. I feel like my dad, he did that 45 years ago, really taught us a lesson and really honored and respected us. And I felt that way throughout my childhood. So I think, I think that is something that if I could do anything for my children, I don't really care how smart they are, if they are pretty or are good at sports. I really just want them to be self-confident and to be happy in themselves, because really that's all that really matters. So, building kids with self-confidence was a huge one. I already mentioned about my mom, teaching us about how you have to have different parenting styles. Each child is so different. I think another big lesson my mom taught me was to not complain. And I'm not being toxically positive here, just not the complaining about things like, me saying I'm tired. It doesn't mean a bed is gonna appear. If you're tired,
yes, you're right.
Figure it out. And it made it so positive. If there was a problem, it was okay, we got to solve it. What are we going to do, team? Let's be proactive. Let's get in front of this. And quite frankly, it was just really nice to be in an environment like that. And again, it wasn't like this sunshine family. Of course there were issues, and of course there were things conflict and things that we talked about. But I just felt that, following that role model of not just whining and complaining about things really served me well. And, as a result, I always say this parenting gig, it's all about the role modeling. We can talk to them, we're blue in the face what we want our kids to do and we want them to be like and what our expectations are. But it is a role modeling gig. So, you know what? You don't want whiny kids? Don't whine. That's right.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's really, really eye-opening that you say that. And I think because we're so overwhelmed, because we're so burnt out, I think we maybe take advantage of the fact that we can keep complaining about it and it doesn't really solve anything, you know? And so listing out everything we have to do, or I love that mindset, and I'm going to take you up on that.
Love it.
No
Love
more
it.
complaining.
And also,
no more talking about being tired.
Right. It's just boring. It's boring to listen to, quite frankly. Who wants? My grandmother always said, "Don't talk." What did she say? She said, "Don't talk old. Don't talk poor. Don't talk tired. Don't talk sore." She goes, "People don't want to hear about your money problems, your achy bones, or your." She's like, "Oh, I hate all the old people for all My grandma died at 101.
Wow, good for her. Oh my gosh,
she hated the old people.
yeah, that's why she lived so long. She was on all the ailments.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we took too good care of her, and that's what kept her going so long.
that's incredible. Testament to your family.
And you know what? She was also, I'll just share one, but she was full of gems. She was an old Irish woman. She was one of 21 kids, born in 1916. And, she was a hoot because she was a real feminist. She loved us girls, and she loved, our entrepreneurial journey, and she loved Mabel's Labels. And when we won Women Entrepreneur Awards, she would make sure she was at that, red carpet event. She was in that limo with us, and she was a hoot. But she also was a very big believer in being humble and being grateful. And she had this expression she'd say to us to keep us built up, but also to keep us humble. And she'd say, "Julie, you're as good as the rest of them and better than none." True.
Oh my gosh, real talk. Yes. Yeah. It keeps you grounded for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So tell us about, your career in, in the legal industry and some milestones there.
Sure. Well, I didn't practice for very long. I was doing family law and I was working for a women's legal service, which was difficult. We had like bulletproof glass because of like our clients' partners and that sort of thing. I'm sure I would have burnt out eventually, but I started Mabel's Labels not too long after practicing. And there were a couple of reasons for that. The first was that along with my co-founders, who are my sister and two friends from university, from college, and we started it. Our first why was because we noticed a product missing from the market. I had a couple little kids and, we're using masking tape and permanent marker. We're like, you're a labeling goddess, that's not good enough.
Yeah,
that's not good enough.
Definitely not as pretty and
and durable. So we thought, you know what, there's got to be a product out there. And there really wasn't. So like good entrepreneurial mamas, we created it. So that was the first why. And the second why was actually my son at that age was 3. And he had just been diagnosed with autism. And I realized at that point, and he had only just turned 3 and he already had 2 little sisters. So it was busy anyway.
Wow.
Yeah, it was busy. So I realized at that point, I did a lot of research and I thought, I don't think the traditional workforce is going to suit me. It's not going to suit my family. I need to have some flexibility that, having a business can provide. I need to set up a therapy program for my son. I have to be able to advocate for him.
Right.
I had a big job. My whole world pivoted in that moment. And, you know how kids are, like, talk about a pivot. You don't know what you're getting when you have these kids. You don't know what you're walking into and what can change at any moment. And of course, when you have a child with a disability, so much does change quickly. At that point, when Mac got his diagnosis, I said to the gals, okay, I'm going to leave legal, and I think now's the time for a label company idea. What do you think? And there we went, and we haven't looked back since. And that was 18 years ago. And I can tell you this, as Mabel's Labels has grown and we've had a lot of success, and we've done quite well. We have about 40 full-time employees. It swells to 70 in the summer with all the back to school shenanigans. But my son is now 21 and he's just finished third year of university. He spent, summer doing aid work in Africa. He's got his driver's license. He's a lifeguard. He's got loads of friends. He lives independently at university with other guys. And, I just feel like, as Mabel's Labels has experienced so much success, as has my son. I often joke that on my deathbed, I'll say he's my life's greatest achievement and the other 5 are okay too.
Oh, that's so sweet. And my eyes are welling up just thinking about it. How incredible it is that you decided to make this career shift, and he was the impetus for that. And he's thriving.
Yeah.
It's that choice you made.
It's pretty special. I'm a pretty proud mama. And I know any of your listeners out there, if you have a child who's not neurotypical, every gain that you make just feels so monumental and so special. I always, with my neurotypical kids, I'm like, oh yeah, good job. Awesome. Right. But with Mac, it's just like, it's just so amazing. It's just, it's just taken so much work. Right?
Yes, exactly. We have to be mindful that it's like, it's a completely different world that they're living in. So you can't hold them to the exact same standard, and their achievements are leaps and bounds.
Yeah, it's pretty special. So so that's the Mabel's Labels story. It was, I always say, people say, what, I want to start a business. I'm like, know your why you're doing it. And also the big thing, make sure your family is on board, because, if you have a spouse, like I was in a basement making labels till 2 a.m. put kids to bed at 8, make labels till 2 a.m., get up at 6, do all day again with kids, and then trying to catch emails, and then making labels. So, you're not going to have like me time. You're not going to have like couples time. You're not going to go on holidays. You're not like, you're basically going to be working hard and not making any money and giving up a, lucrative career So, everybody's got to be on board, manage those expectations, because I find people really romanticize entrepreneurship and, they think it's really sexy, and it's really, really not for a long, long time.
You're so right. You are so right. Yeah. And you're oftentimes burning the candle at both ends.
My expression is, don't tell me I'm burning the candle at both ends. Get me some more wax.
That's amazing. I love it.
And now, for a quick break, brought to you by my brand sponsor, Homer.
Hi, this is Kanika Chadda-Gupta, founder and host of That's Total Mom Sense.
I'm Stephanie Dua, president and co-founder of Homer.
And this is At Home
with Homer. Homer is the essential early learning program for kids aged 2 to 8. We have the most comprehensive app available for early learning skills that you can find on iOS or Google Play. And you can also find our really fun Explore kits that help kids with their math, their reading, and social emotional learning that you can find on our website, learnwithhomer.com.
On this weekly segment, we're going to cover a range of topics, from raising confident readers to developing emotional intelligence.
These are the skills that will carry your child through school and life and resonate most when taught at home by you, their most important teacher.
So grab a notepad, your phone, or your mental notebook to remember the tips shared during the segment.
And now on to At Home with Homer. This installment of At Home with Homer is all about getting involved. So in case our listeners aren't aware, Stephanie Dua's children are very involved in their community in Miami. And I think it's so important to instill this yearning to give back at a young age. So Stephanie, how did you inspire your kids to get involved and give back to their community?
Yeah, thanks, Kanika. It's something that's near and dear to my heart. I've spent a lot of my life working sometimes in the for-profit sector, but a lot of working in the nonprofit sector, really trying to work with mission-oriented companies. And you see firsthand all of the challenges, from soup kitchens to education systems to children living in foster care, or young children living in detention centers. So I'm super passionate about this. I tried very hard to instill it in my kids. And one of the things I found is it's really hard to find a way for kids to get involved. Every place you call to volunteer, they say, well, they're not old enough, or there's a lot of paperwork you have to fill out,
Right.
And so it was really hard. And during COVID, my youngest, Isla, found the same thing. She and her friends were trying to get involved in Miami here. They were creating masks and they wanted to do care packages, but everywhere they turned, they said that they couldn't find a place to be helpful. So they created something called MiamiStrong.us with a number of other kids. I think they were 10 at the time. And it's really a mission-oriented endeavor to try and bring ideas and service opportunities to young children. But what I like to say is, in your own community, you have to keep it simple, because I think if it becomes another job that you're trying to do, it feels overwhelming and you're not going to be able to find the time for it. So believe it or not, simple things make a huge difference. So idea number one, I always like to say is, there's always someone who's in need of care locally in your neighborhood, in your school environment. There's always, the Surfside condo collapse just happened. So we just ended up sending Uber Eats meals to the service and the rescue and search teams. So there's always a way to easily understand an issue and put together a care package. And I think it's important for anything you do with your family to have three components, I like to say. One is an understanding of the issue, even for little kids. So what is the understanding of the issue around homelessness? What is the understanding of the issue around children in foster care? Because that helps build empathy and understanding. And then second is, what is one small thing I can do to help with that issue? And third, how do you make it their own so that they're able to put their own personal stamp on it, in a way that works for them? But a couple of other ideas I like to always offer to families that we've done is definitely putting together care packages for a neighbor. It's great, or someone in your community. Two is collecting kind of non-perishable items that you can donate to a food pantry. We did that during COVID. We could just drop it off at any one of many food pantries. Three is really setting up a spare change jar in your home for a local charity. We have the girls each have a little jar of to give, and so that they can collect change and they can think about where they want to donate like that. And even small things like looking around your neighborhood when you're walking your dog and saying like, we should pick up this trash because having trash around our neighborhood is not good for the environment, or we should use recyclable containers instead of single-use containers because that's not good for our environment. So again, it's sort of how do you kind of build some of those habits so that you're in service? But the bigger point is, what does service mean for your family, and really having conversations about that. In the end, what you realize, what all studies will tell you about happiness, is the biggest component of happiness is community, number one, and two is acts of service. So, I think building those habits early on so that kids understand it's not about me, but it's about how might I use this time to do something good for somebody else. That's building the blocks of empathy and kindness and gratitude that are so important for children.
Wow, that's incredible. I want to kind of talk about Miami Strong because I'm on the website now. It is such a robust, really beautifully designed site. How did, your 10-year-old conceptualize this? And then how did you team up with other parents and launch something of this scale?
She has two friends that they work on it together. And once a quarter, they pick an issue that they want to learn about. And then they identify a charity, a nonprofit in the community to work with. And what excited them was, this concept of how do you identify what it means to be a strong community? They have a sense of what it means to be a strong student. They have a sense of what does it mean to have a strong family life, but what does it mean to have a strong community? Certainly in Miami, there are many individuals, adults and children who are struggling with food insecurity, that don't have meals. There are many children and adults who are homeless. And so they got very passionate about those issues, especially during COVID, and trying to understand them and then finding ways for young children to get involved. So one of the things they do is they have a big potluck, a casserole, believe it or not, it's like a casserole night. And they make casseroles for this wonderful organization, Camilla's House here in Miami. They, as a family and kids, they all get together in a kitchen and make these casseroles to deliver. The second thing they love doing is collecting little toiletries that you get from hotels and otherwise, obviously, before COVID, that was more common, but they collect all these little toiletries, and those are great for the homeless shelters because they're small, single-use toiletries that are in high demand, believe it or not. And so instead of tossing them, they can collect them and donate them. So it's really just about picking one thing, not making it overcomplicated. But for these girls, they were really interested in homelessness, and they were really interested in food insecurity and how do you get meals in the hands of kids and adults who don't have access to it.
Yes, no, that's great. But advice for the parents, for how they got the website up, how they built their community, how, is it Facebook driven?
Yeah, exactly. Well, so the good news right now is they are so technically savvy at this age. So they know Canva, so they know how to create templates, Squarespace, I think, just to build a website, so all of this is self-serve now. And so they didn't even need to know how to code. They just needed to use a few YouTube tutorials and figure out how to set something up. And then they use stock photography largely to kind of create it. And, the big thing was not getting in their way, really letting them lead and letting it be their thing. And, now they're starting their next project again. So they're busy kids, right? So you also have to make it something that's manageable for them, but they really enjoy the community element because they get together, they're girls, there are like 12 of them, they get together and it's a fun event to do. They'll go to the mall and they'll buy some things, and they'll create care packages for kids. It becomes like a social effort as well.
Yes.
It's really, really nice. If anyone has 10-year-old girls, that's like a fun thing to do, to go to someone's house and create care packages for them.
Oh my goodness. That is really enterprising. And it's so amazing how they came together and they're learning as they go. It's their own kind of project and they're giving back in the process, which is the best part of it. I wanted to also ask you about, with younger kids, how can we really spell out the fact that there is adversity in the world? There are those who are less fortunate than us. And I'm kind of tracing it back to my childhood. We would go to vacation in India every year since I can remember. And I would see abject poverty.
Yeah.
firsthand, and seeing 8, 9-year-old girls looking through a car window at me, looking just like me.
Yeah.
And I mean, it gets me choked up to think about that they don't have clothes, they don't have food, they're living on the street, and it just, because it was so in my face, I felt compelled to give back. And, we had made it a tradition in our family to visit orphanages, bring food, and then I would get to interact with the children. And it made it all the more personal.
Yeah.
So is there a way that we could do that for young kids? I mean, I was thinking showing them videos of a homeless shelter in the area, or something that makes it palpable that, like, this is a child and, they don't have what you have, and it's up to us to help them out.
Yeah, I love what you said about it, a tradition, because I think for us, it's the same. And I think that traditions are a very powerful thing for families, especially for young kids, because then they know, like, every time we go to India, this is what we do. And it becomes part of their narrative. And it's not a one-off, right, experience. Right. So I think what you're doing is exactly what I like to say is one of the most powerful things it could be a Thanksgiving effort that you do. It could be around Christmas time, but pick one thing that kind of is that tradition for the family and do it every year from when they're young, instead of trying to do a lot of things not very well, right? So for us, very similar to you, whenever we travel to another country, we've traveled to Costa Rica a lot, and we always use one of our days to be of service. So we'll go to a local school and we'll spend time with the kids and we'll help with supplies. And then we'll meet some of the families in the community, go to the shop, and we'll buy some diapers and some baby food and some other things. And, the kids get a sense. I think kids get a really clear sense, especially when in an educational context, when they see a school or they see how other children their age are living. And then they see how happy they are too, many of them, right? So Anya's experience was always when we went to Costa Rica, she's like, Mama, they don't have anything. Like, they barely have any lunch to eat, and they're so happy. And what is that? So that you don't always equate somebody who is living in poverty as somebody who's actually unhappy.
Right.
And it builds an understanding of a range of experiences and ways of living, that I think are really important to kind of help understand. The other thing, as we talk a lot as a country around diversity and equity and inclusion, I think one of the findings that many people are understanding around how to understand diversity is that it has to be about conversations about shared experiences. So as younger children get older, how can they be in different environments so that they understand different experiences for children and really build that empathy as they're going? So it's not divorced from their life, it's like us versus them, but rather like we're all human and we all have this shared common experience. How do we create some experiences and build empathy around that?
That's incredible. That's definitely something we can take a cue from, whether you're trying to give back to your own community or when you are traveling abroad, how you can make sure that you carve out time on your vacation to help the locals.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think it's very powerful for children to see that also their parents value that as well, and that's part of their family values.
Exactly.
We hope you enjoyed this week's At Home with Homer segment. To download the app, visit learnwithhomer.com/momsense, MOMSENSE, to receive your very own 60-day free trial. Your kids are going to love playing the games, watching the visual stories, and more.
Getting ready to step into your career era? Set yourself apart with Adobe Creative Cloud Pro for students. Hone your skills with apps like Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere Pro, and more, powered with the latest in creative AI. Students save over 55% so you can build a portfolio you're proud of. Launch your future with Adobe Creative Cloud Pro for students. Visit adobe.com/students to learn more.
Optimism isn't sunshine and rainbows. It's fixing things, changing the way we fix things. It's running the world on smarter energy. Because if optimism never stops, then change can't either. GE Vernova, the energy of change.
there's no such thing as a work-life balance. No one has it. Whether you're a stay-at-home mom or a working mom, an entrepreneurial mom, there's no such thing as a 50-50 balance. It doesn't exist. But you decide what your non-negotiables are and you show up, And so if you're the one packing the lunches, if you're the one helping with the science fair, if you're the one who's, in your case, making labels till 2 a.m., you've decided that these are making it to my priority list and I'm carving out time and energy for this. So how did you decide what that is? And how did you really muster up the courage to show up for what you decided?
Well, I think there's a couple of strategies I put in place. One is that I gave up mom guilt 4 kids ago. It's just not helpful. It's not proactive. It's like, when I screw up or if I make a mistake, I'm like, sorry. And I say sorry and I learn from it and I do better. And my ego was left at the door a long time ago in this parenting gig.
Right.
I'm not going to get it right all the time. And I'm okay with that. And again, I actually like role modeling, apologizing to my kids because then there's no shame in that game. Then they're like,
yes.
You know what, Mom, I kind of screwed up. And I really thought about it. I could have done that differently. I'm like, great. How do you think you could have done it better? And this is why I literally never have to punish my children. We just have a discussion. People are like, wow. I've never grounded a child. I don't think I've even yelled at a child.
Wow.
Oh
my gosh. But how do you do that with toddlers? Because, they definitely test you and they are defiant. And so how do you keep your cool?
What you allow is what will happen, right? So, I had one really challenging toddler. She was a hoot. All my other kids, I say they always have one big temper tantrum, and then I just step over them on my way out of the room. And if it works for them, they'll keep doing it, right?
Right.
My big key, and honestly, this came from a lot of my training through having a child with autism, and it sounds so simple, but it's so hard, is follow through. So I never said something and didn't follow through. I can remember one time my challenging little one, she was about 4 and she was in the middle of the pool. My kids were all real swimmers and she was in the middle of the pool swimming and I had a few friends over, moms, whatever. And I was dressed and I said, okay, everybody out of the pool.
Okay.
And, everybody got out of the pool except my Spencer went in the middle of the pool and kind of gave me a na, 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 na. I jumped in the pool and pulled her out. I pulled her out. I jumped in fully dressed and pulled her out. I mean business. And so if I wasn't willing to follow through, then I don't say it. If a kid's jumping on the couch, if I'm breastfeeding a baby, I don't say stop jumping on the couch because I'm not actually willing to act on if they don't do what I'm told because I don't want to stop breastfeeding.
Yes, yes.
So, I think, and I caught myself a lot because I'd be like, oh, that was an empty threat. I had to put myself in check and be like, I can only give an instruction when I'm willing to follow through. And I don't do 1, 2, 3 magic. I say it the first time. And if they don't do it physically, you need to listen first time. And that's it. Not because then what they do,
I'm all years.
Because then they learn that mommy only means business when she counts to 3, right? And the other thing,
and it's right. And I've been doing 1, 2, 3 for the whole year. I mean, they do feel like the world's going to implode after you say 3.
Yeah,
and then they just scramble because
make it so they think the world's going to implode after you just say it once.
Yes,
and then it's less always stressful. You need to listen first time and make it so if you're like, you need to sit down and they don't, you go and sit them down and say, you need to listen first time. But here's the other thing. If you say you need to sit down and they sit down, then you're like, dude, great listening. High five. Mom loves you. That's awesome. Here's a Smartie. I had a sign on my fridge, catch the mean good, 5 goods to 1 negative, always 5 to 1, because you're so much more lucky. You're so much more likely to get the behavior you want if you're rewarding the desired behavior. So
you're so right. You're so right.
And the other thing that I always did was don't assume they know what you want. So rather than saying, don't jump on the couch, tell them what you want to see. Hey, buddy, I need you to sit down on the couch. So we assume they know.
Instead of saying the negative, the don't, the no.
Frame it differently. And then it's not even a negative, right?
Right. Oh my goodness. Wow.
So that's lots of things.
Really, really. I mean, I have some more for you because I feel like, again, it's like a lot of people who are listening have young toddlers. And I think just navigating this is hard. And you've been there and done that 6 times over. So you just know. So here's my scenario. This morning at breakfast, I just finished packing the lunches, and my twins were giggling together. I mean, everything was really cute and happy, but I needed to rush them out the door because I had to start my work day,
Right.
And so they're like, they have their oatmeal and they're not eating it, and they're just talking and faffing around. And so I said, you have 5 minutes to finish your food. I set a timer. Hey, Google, set a timer for 5 minutes. And then I said that if you guys don't finish in 5 minutes, I'm taking your plates. And you're just not going to eat. But is that how you, I don't know. It just,
okay. So what?
Because I want them to have their breakfast.
Right. Nope. That's exactly what I would do. I would say, guys, if you've got 5 minutes to wind it up, and I wouldn't even give the threat or I'm going to take your food away. Just when the 5 minutes was up, I would clear their plates and say, okay, time to go. And I'm a big fan of natural consequences. You know what? They're not going to starve. If they're hungry, tomorrow they'll eat on time.
Yes.
You can let those kids go hungry. And, this is, and the natural consequences, you don't want to put on your sweater. Okay. Be cold. Honestly, if my kids forget their lunch, I don't bring it to them. They can go hungry for a day. Guess what? They all forget their lunch once. But I could spend my life chasing these kids around with all the stuff that they've forgotten. And how would I be productive then?
Right.
And I always say to them, your lack of planning does not constitute my emergency. So get that into them young. And it's not punishment. Natural consequences and punishment. You're not being a mean mom by not letting them have their breakfast. You gave them 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You said wrap it up. Okay.
Yeah.
And don't be angry. Just be like, okay, dudes, time to move to the next thing. Let's clear our bowls. And it's not angry. And my kids, I'm not punishing them by not bringing their lunch. I'm like, oh, geez, you're going to have to find an apple, or go find your brother. He might have an extra granola bar. And if they forget,
get resourceful, and it won't happen again.
That's right. And you know what? They haven't had scurvy once because they forgot their lunches.
Yes.
We tend to over worry about things like the eating, and the kids are fine. Okay. And I do that too. If they forget their gym clothes, I don't run their gym clothes over. They have to sit out. That's what happens when you forget your gym clothes. That's unfortunate, right?
Yes.
And if you forget your homework at home, then you might have to stay in at recess and redo it, or you might get 10% off your mark. Oh, well, that's the consequence. It's not punishment. It's just how it is. And just frame it that way.
Okay.
Wow. You're not angry. It's just, that's how it is.
Yeah.
You forget your lunch and you go hungry too, right, Mom?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what it means to be an independent, autonomous human being.
Yeah. Again, then it just natural consequences, not punishment. Just that's how it is. So you're being positive about it. It's not negative. And I'm like you. I don't want my mornings I don't want to be a nagging dragon in the morning with my kids.
No.
So I actually have a little setup. I'm a big fan of visuals. So they all have charts. If they don't know what they're doing, I don't tell them what to do. If they're standing there and say they need to put their lunchbox in their knapsack, or they have to whatever, I'll just be like, go to your ready, set, go board. I don't tell them what to do.
Cool.
So they go to their board if they've got the deer in the headlights look, and they're like, oh, okay, that's what I should do next.
Right.
And then by the end of the morning, when they're just going out to school or going out to daycare, they've already moved their little magnets over and they've already accomplished that for the day. They're setting themselves up for success for the day.
Oh my gosh. Can you email me this?
Yes, I sure can.
Yeah. This is groundbreaking. I cannot tell you. Wow.
Well, and you know how it is. You need your kids to be independent. We want our kids to be, and if we invest the time when they're little, it pays off. It really pays off. So, getting them to be able to get their own little bowls of cereal out and packing up their little things and putting, and I mornings are not times for decisions. We lay out at the close the night before, and I do a lot of implied choice. I don't say, what do you want to wear tomorrow? I say, do you want this or this?
Yes.
And they think they're making big choices, but really I'm narrowing it down. It's like, I would never say, what do you want for dinner? Could you imagine on the ma'am? I'd say, do you guys want spaghetti or hamburgers? They got two choice, and then they can, and then majority wins or whatever. But implied choice is a great way to go. Don't overwhelm them with too many choices. And then you got still some control.
Yes.
On how things are going to play out. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, back to, your product, I wanted to find out, who's Mabel?
Oh, the question I get asked the most, and I have the most boring answer to, Mabel's nobody. She was our brand. We've got this like little Mabel logo who personifies like fun and feisty and adventure and inspiring. And, it was a branding thing. Honestly, Mabel's Labels, people remembered it. It worked. I actually have a story that I made up, and it's a total lie. So my co-founders would never let me say it, but can I tell you what my made up story is?
Yeah, tell me your fabricated story.
Okay. That when I was a child, I had a cat named Mabel, and Mabel would disappear into the neighborhood for days on end, but she would always come back, just like your belongings will. If they have Mabel's labels on them, they might go to the lost and found, but they'll make their way back to you.
Oh my God, it's so cute. I love it. I love it.
Why we let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Yes, I know, right? Yeah. Oh, so cute. Tell us about the, product offerings that you have. Yeah. And how you support parents.
Awesome. Okay. So we started initially with our traditional sticky label. This is personalized. A mom goes on or dad goes onto the website, goes to mabelslabels.com, puts in their kiddo's name, picks colors, picks font, picks a little picture icon, and then we make them and send them out, and they are dishwasher, microwave safe. Our clothing labels go through industrial washers and dryers. We've got tag mates that are just peel and stick on the tag clothes so you don't have to iron or sew, but we do have iron-ons as well. And we have a clothing stamp. We have allergy alerts. We have shoe labels. We have bag tags. And if you go to our website, we've done all the thinking for you. If you're looking for a day camp pack, we've put something together for you. If you're doing like a kindergarten pack, we've put a kindergarten pack together, and a preschool pack, and a daycare pack, and an overnight camp pack, all sorts of offerings. And it's really fun. And, I think obviously we wanted to keep things out of the lost and found, but through COVID, our narrative has really changed because we really want to avoid germy mix-ups.
Yes.
At this time. So what?
Makes sense.
Right? You don't want your kid taking a swig out of some kid at daycare's sippy cup or their water bottle at school. And I even find for our pre-readers, if they can't read their name, I know my daughter Posey, she always had the cow. So she would find the label with the cow on it before
Right.
But for your pre-readers, they have their own little icons too, which is super helpful.
Right. Oh, that's so great. You know what I love? I'm going to grab it right now.
Yeah.
And thank you for sending me these, is the stamps.
Oh, I know.
Oh my goodness. This is my Krish stamp. I have one for all three and I love it. I mean, it's just, and these don't wash off on clothes. So I never did the iron on. That's like,
I know that sounds a little high maintenance, the iron.
Yeah. So I'm just stamping away on,
love it.
T-shirts and
exactly. That's the way.
Great.
Oh, that's so good. I'm glad you love that. And the stamp has been a big hit. That's for sure.
Yes. Any other products that parents would want?
Well, the one,
especially for back to school.
Yeah, for back to school. Again, if you do have a child who has food sensitivities or allergies, do check out our allergy labels. It's just that kind of nice last line of defense. I mean, I know daycare workers are really, careful, but if you get a supply in there or the regular caregivers, it's just peace of mind. The other thing that I love is our preschool shoe labels. So how they work is like you'll have half of a butterfly with the child's name and half of a butterfly with the child's name, and they go on the insole of the shoe, and then you put them together so the child doesn't get their left and right mixed up. So they
smart.
Yeah, they put their smart together or their butterfly together, and then we've set them up for success with their right and left shoes.
Yes, no, I love that, and
so cute.
Yeah, before I discovered that you had labels for that, I was writing Eleanor, but then it's still, it would like rub off, and then the marker would the wear and tear of it. But this way more fun and visual and durable.
And they stay put. I mean, shoes are hard to label and these things stay put. I've got shoe labels in my oldest child's little soccer cleats, and I purposefully left the same ones in and didn't obviously they went through all 6 kids because everything goes through all 6 kids.
Right.
And I just left Max ones in there and all 6 kids wore them, and those shoe labels were still in by the time Finian was done. Had outgrown them.
Out. Yeah. Wow.
So the kids will outgrow or they will trash the clothing and the label will still be there.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That's great. Well, tell us about how they're made and, how they are kind of so durable.
Yeah. Well, I would tell you, but then I'd have to kill you. This is
I hear you.
highly intellectual property. But I can tell you that, if your listeners check out our website, and also we are giving all of your listeners a coupon code.
Yes.
So I believe we said it was Mom Sense 10, and that works site-wide. So if they go to mabelslabels.com, they can put that coupon code in and try out any fun and durable and functional products.
Oh my goodness.
It's also great too, like when you have kids my kids don't have sort of regular names. They're not ever going to be on like the top 100 list of names.
No keychains, no license plates. Yeah.
And it's kind of special for those kids to see their names in print. And I, as a mom, loved seeing their names in print too. And just, back to school, we just get everything out. We label everything, and the teachers love it too, right? Because it's so helpful when they're trying to keep their classrooms organized.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One question that I always ask is mom sense moment. And I feel like you've had to trust your mom sense, your built-in sixth sense and intuition when it comes to each of your kids. So tell us about that.
It's been a real blast. Like, honestly, having all these kids, getting to know, like every time I would have one, I would just look at them and be like, what is this going to bring? Like, this is what, like, they're all so different. And, it never wears off. I'm telling you, moms out there, you have that first baby, you're just like, oh my gosh, for me, I was shocked. I actually didn't know I could feel that way about another human. Like, I knew I loved lots of people in my life, but when Mac was born, I was like, whoa, okay, nobody talked about this, or nobody could explain it until I felt it.
Wow.
And I did feel that way about each one. And I remember when I was having my sixth, and I also had 6 C-sections, which is ridiculous, right?
Yeah, I've had 2, but I know. But
I have my babies one at a time.
Yeah, I know. There's that. But I still remember, I know this is getting a little graphic, but I remember after you push out the baby, 3 or 4 days later, you're going to push out your first poop.
Yeah, right.
It hurts like hell.
Oh, yeah, right.
I can't believe you went through that 6 times.
Yep, 6 of them. So when I had my 6th, though, my mom was there, and I said, oh, Mom, I think it's time to close up shop. I'm like getting old, and I've had 6 C-sections. It's all kinds of ridiculous. And I said, I'll miss having this feeling again. And she said, oh, Julie, don't you worry. You'll get it again. I've had it 12 times since when you're a grandparent. She's like, it feels exactly the same. And I was like, oh, yay.
Wow, that's
awesome.
So true. That's so true. I love that. Yeah. You're just kind of embracing each phase of life and the joys that it brings,
That's it. Yeah.
That's so great.
Let's not forget our quote of the day. Is there a quote that you live by?
There's a nice Maya Angelou quote that I like about success. And it's something like, defining success is liking who you are and liking what you do and liking how you do it. And I feel like I've got those things going on. So I feel successful.
Yes.
If that's how we define it. We all define success differently. And I think we need to define it in our own terms. And it's like that whole notion of having it all, to me, I have it all. I have what I want. And a lot of people would be like, 6 kids and a business. That is not my having it all. So I don't think we can let other people define what our success is and what our having it all means.
Yep, absolutely.
It's now time for Mom Haul, when we share products we love.
For our Mom Haul section, we just love to hear about if there's like a product or app or really anything that you're loving that you've discovered that you want to share with your friends.
Oh, let me think now. Okay, I just packed a bunch of kids away to camp. So I'm going to tell you about a particular towel that I adore.
Okay.
It's a quick dry. It's called Tally Towel. And it's a quick dry microfiber towel that's personalized. And I absolutely love the woman behind it who created this. It's a mom. I try to support a lot of mom-owned businesses. So I'm going to give a shout out to the Tally Towel today.
That is amazing. Oh, I can't wait to look that up. I guess before I ask you, where we can find you, is there any other facet to Mabel's Labels that we should know as far as philanthropy or how you're like really giving back to parents?
Oh, I love that. Yeah. So, you know what, at Mabel's Labels, we're women started company. A lot of women are running the show there. We have a very sort of flexible workplace. As long as you're productive, we don't care where you do your work for the most part. We found that you treat people like adults, they act like adults. And, if you give people skin in the game, then they're entrepreneurial at work, which is so wonderful. So it's been a really amazing journey of, a lot of women and a lot of moms being empowered. And that's been a pretty special journey for us.
That's so great. And where can my listeners find you?
You can find us over at mabelslabels.com, of course. And we have a very vibrant Facebook community. We have over 200,000 Facebook fans, about 90,000 Instagram followers. So we have a big community. I blog there. We have guest bloggers on. So it's a wonderful community. Please come around and join.
Thank you, Julie. This was so enlightening. Thank you so much for all of your sage advice and helping us parents get organized back to school and year round.
Thanks so much for having me. I've enjoyed this so much.
So now do you feel ready for back to school? You will be when you go shopping on mabelslabels.com. As I mentioned earlier, I love the personalized stamps and the shoe labels, which are stickers cut in halves so your kids can have fun putting the shoes side by side and matching the stickers. As Julie mentioned, use my exclusive code MOMSENSE10 in all caps for 10% off site-wide at mabelslabels.com. Tune into other episodes and browse my YouTube videos and blog posts on my website, that'stotalmomsense.com. I do want to give a shout out to Ratui, who left a wonderful review on Apple Podcasts. She writes, "Great host and podcast. This podcast is so helpful and motivating. Congrats to Kanika for creating an amazing platform for moms." Thank you so much, Ratui. And email me your address to that'stotalmomsense@gmail.com, and I will send you some very special merch. Remember, always trust your mom sense. Stay strong, super mamas. See you next time.
That's total mom sense.